So we got an injury update. Darius Garland is expected to miss Cavs training camp, which should be starting sometime in September. This tracks with the previous reporting we've gotten, which told us that Darius Garland was going to miss around 4 to 5 months after undergoing surgery on his big toe. It's possible that he won't even be ready for the start of the regular season, and we might not see Darius make his debut until November or even December, which would be the latest possible debut, I would hope. But yeah, look, DG, he was going through some actual pain, it turns out. The injury was legit. I know I've already covered this, but it's August. There's not much to talk about. We're all sitting here waiting for Cavs basketball to come back, and this new report from Chris Fedor gives us some updates and a quote from Darius himself where he said basically like the last few weeks of the season were brutal for him. He said he was basically playing on 9 toes for the final month of the season. He just got his big toe back is what he's saying. He had a lot of trouble just putting his shoe on, let alone walking, running, or trying to play NBA basketball. And that really shouldn't be a big surprise to anyone who has injured their toe playing basketball because it really does limit you. Listen, or ironically, I actually broke my toe last month playing a pickup game. And thankfully it wasn't my big toe or anything, but it still hurts. It still hurts, man. That thing was swollen. It was purple for like 2 weeks. Now it's been just over a month and I'm basically back to 100%. But if I try to run or if I plant the wrong way and I step wrong, it still kind of hurts a little bit. These toe injuries are no joke, people. And obviously, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not out there trying to guard Tyrese Halliburton or anything. But like I said, if I step the wrong way, I can still kind of feel it. It still hurts a little bit. So obviously, you can see how it would impact a player like Darius Garland in the playoffs so recently after hurting it, and especially with the big toe. And so I think his performances against Indiana kind of spoke for themselves, right? He clearly wasn't 100%. And it's unfortunate because since Darius doesn't have much of a playoff resume up to this point, it's kind of really easy to just throw him under the bus and trash him for this, right? Because last season, he was bad against Orlando and Boston, largely because of the jaw injury. But all right, we've already made one excuse. Then the year before that, he got smoked in 5 games to the Knicks, which again, everything around the Cavs was crumbling too, but here's another excuse. It was his first playoff series. And then before that, he actually played good against Brooklyn in the play-in tournament, which people kind of forget about that game for whatever reason. But immediately afterwards, he had a really bad game against Atlanta when they got eliminated. So because of his resume up to this point, because the excuses have been piling up for a while, Darius is not getting any benefit of the doubt anymore, right? And so, yes, anyone can connect the dots with his injury last year and how bad he looked against Indiana. We can excuse that. I'm certainly not writing off Darius Garland because he looked bad with an injury, but ultimately, it's on Darius himself. He's going to have to bounce back and prove everyone wrong next season, or he's going to continue to get this type of treatment moving forward. And that's just how it goes. That's how sports work, for better or worse. And to wrap up my thoughts on Garland, and specifically the discourse around his injury, this is something that I said back in April, back in May. I'm going to say it again though. Try not to be so cynical with everything in life, all right? People online are so cynical about everything. The Twitter discourse has probably been permanently ruined because all of this, everything you see online is just designed to make you angry nowadays. And we found out that rage baiting is the easiest way to boost engagement. So that's probably not going away anytime soon. So it's kind of on you to not fall into that trap too often, right? With the Darius thing, there was this big online push from everybody. A lot of people just venting their frustrations, but it turned into this snowball effect where people kind of cynically thought Darius was faking the injury or milking it. And we didn't really have any reason to believe that outside of people just generally being cynical and skeptical. And it's like, we don't have to do that. We don't have to assume the worst in everything and everyone all the time. You can try to be more like Superman, right? I have the man right here on my watch. I don't know how well you can see it, but there he is right there. Try to be more like that guy, okay? Don't be so cynical and angry all the time, because not only will it probably help you in your own life, but it'll also make this space a lot more enjoyable for everyone else when we're talking about Cavs basketball. So as for the Cavs, I think it'll be interesting to see who the Cavs choose to start at point guard if Darius Garland isn't ready at the start of the season. Are they just going to go with Lonzo Ball because he's probably the most logical choice if you're just going down your rotation and your depth chart at the guard position? But they might also want to keep him on the bench and kind of get him adjusted to that role and initiated with this team. They could also start DeAndre Hunter and Max Strus together and just push Mitchell to the point guard position. That's an option that they'll have. I'll be interested to see how Kenny Atkinson approaches this if Darius isn't back in time. And I'd imagine guys like Tyrese Proctor, Greg Porter, Jalen Tyson. This will probably be the biggest opportunities that they're going to get early on in the season when Darius is hurt. So it's going to be on them to step up, right? This is going to be their prime time to get some minutes and prove themselves a little bit. So I would really like to see at least one of these guys rise to the occasion and give the Cavs some quality minutes early in the year. Just show a little bit of something, give us some proof of concept that you can be relied on moving forward. And really, that's all I had for today. There's not much going on in the Cavs world and the NBA world in general. I'm going to start ramping up my content as we get closer to September and the preseason, but until then, make sure you subscribe to my channel, drop a like and a comment on this video. Thank you for watching, and as always, go Cavs.